Hello everyone, and welcome to my next video for the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. And it's that time again. There's a new weapon that's been released, and this time it is Paladin Cecil's LD and burst weapons. And if you don't think I'm going all in for these bad boys, who the hell are you kidding? So, now is finally the time for Cecil to ascend to greatness. Goodness only knows we've been waiting for this for several weeks now, at least I know that I have, because, yeah, ever since seeing this in the Japanese version, when people were talking about Balthier when he was released, right, they said something about him having burst level auras on his LD, which was a complete fallacy, okay? Like, he has decent auras. He has 20% brave damage and 20% bonus HP damage, which is definitely nothing to shake a stick at, but it's also nothing that we hadn't seen to that point in the global version, because Lightning also has party brave damage bonus of about 20%, and of course Charlotta has the 20% HP damage. Granted, Balthier does them both at once. Unfortunately, he's stuck with single dump attacks, and he's stuck with a DPS armor, which is still really not my preferred sort of choice for someone who's going to be stuck in a support role, but there you go. Whereas Paladin Cecil, on the other hand, if anyone can be said to have burst level auras on his LD weapon, is definitely Cecil, because he has like 50% bonus brave damage on his LD, 20% bonus HP damage for the party, and then his LD gives him a free skill, which lets him use his additional ability, so he can enchant the party with Holy, and he also imperils Holy, so that's another 50% weakness damage. So that's already, you're looking at 100% damage bonus, 20% HP damage. He overheals the party every time he uses his actual LD skill itself. His EX is up relatively quickly. Like, he's not exactly going to be putting out all the numbers himself. He's not built as a primary damage dealer. He's more like someone like... He's more like Ramza, right? Okay, he's meant as a support for the party. And the support that he brings is kind of like... He's a hybrid sort of damage dealer, battery, huge buffer, enchanter, and he heals as well. So he's basically like a one-stop shop of utility, and it is definitely no surprise that I think it's something like out of the 20 events after Cecil gets his LD and Burst, 8 of them resist Holy or absorb Holy. So that's like literally almost half of them, simply because he's that goddamn strong. So I'm a little bit miffed that we don't have any free draws going in apart from the single free daily pull, but it does make a blind bit of difference because I have plenty of tickets to burn and I am not going to be stopping until I get his weapons. So without further ado, let's dive in and see how well we do. And a garbage free pull, as expected. It's only a ticket pull, so yeah, that was kind of to be expected. But I've got 917 of these bad boys, and I'm absolutely going all in. Actually, that is a very good point. Before I continue to pull further, I need to refresh my memory about who the hell is coming during this period, because I don't know if I want to be using my gems here or not. Actually, no, that's a lie. Freaking, we've got Gabranth coming up, and we've got Keiss coming up, and I'm absolutely going for both of them, so tickets it is. Let's keep going. So I'm definitely looking forward, well, to both LDs actually, because I've really started to quite like using Cloud. So Cloud is one of those characters that when he first came out, I was kind of underwhelmed with him, you know. I thought, oh, he's supposed to be this sort of like amazing legendary launcher, like, you know, one of the main sort of the poster child of the freaking Final Fantasy franchise. He's supposed to be really goddamn strong. He's supposed to be doing shit tons of damage, and he just wasn't. You know, like, I used him on, against, what was it? That Lufenia? Edward. Like, no, not Edward. What is it? Kieran. Kieran's Lost Chapter Lufenia. The one with the goddamn bears on the first wave. And it's just basically really annoying. The one that I sort of showed off Flex Death on. Yeah, I remember going back to with X Death because he shits on the bears' mechanics, which are really, really troublesome. And I went there, and yeah, sure, he could complete it. He did relatively well, but he didn't exactly blow my socks off like I was hoping he was going to. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, Cloud's pretty good, but okay, we've got Gold Ore. What's this going to be? Are we finished already? Nope, of course not. I can't remember if I had this or not. Maybe I got it from the daily draws. Yeah, I've got it already. Okay, never mind. Let's keep going. So I was a little bit underwhelmed with Cloud. Like, you know, he was good, but by no means necessary. But the longer that time has gone on, and the more LDs we've got, like, we've got Kryl LD, Krile was a big one actually. So we've got Krile LD, we've got Hope LD for extra burst damage. We've got Kurasame. His LD debuff is extremely useful when you're using Cloud because Cloud has multiple dump HP attacks, right? So it stands to reason that the more bravery damage and the more HP damage you can do, the higher the cap goes, the better he will be. Like Ramza's burst effect really helps him as well because Ramza, of course, when the party is flooded with buffs, and that's definitely not something that Cloud will be short of, increases the party's bravery damage limit more so than any other burst effect that was out during that period. So even though he didn't increase the HP damage limit, he lets you hit for like over 20,000 friggin' bravery when you've got the burst going on. If you've got all the armor and like everything else. And yeah, the effects just got amplified, and then suddenly, especially with Krile's LD and EX, when Krile's battery was going off every turn during the burst, he was just dealing gobfuls of damage, and it was like, oh, so this is why everyone recommended Cloud. But we're not even, he hasn't even reached his final form, because when we get the Start Dash refresh in like a week or a couple of weeks, he will be getting a bonus effect called Cloudy Wolf on his LD weapon that will be further increasing the amount of HP damage he deals, because I think he does get a self-bonus HP damage effect, as well as a double dump on his LD skill. So you combine that sort of Krile with Keiss, or even with, like even if you just have Keiss, and you have like freaking, or if you have Krile, right, and you have Keiss LD active on someone as call effect, and you have Paladin Cecil in the team, like there's a lot of different combinations you can use, but basically he's just going to be getting even better, and I do like using him, I will admit. I am a Final Fantasy VII fanboy. 9 is still my favourite, but 7 being my first, I do have an attachment to it, so it's really good to see Cloud kicking ass and taking names still. Of course, one of the famous combos from the Japanese version is going to be Paladin Cecil and Squall together. When Squall gets his Start Dash rework and his LD boards, it just becomes an absolute monstrosity. Okay, that's the EX weapon, that's unfortunate. Let's keep going. Yeah, so, I mean, Squall for the longest time has just been a kind of boring basic bitch damage character. Sorry, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. But that wasn't a problem, in fact that was good. Because he did enough numbers, he put out enough numbers for it to be worth it in times gone by. Like, when he was awakened, originally, to level 60, he got his splash damage on Reizokuken for the first time. He was like... He was the hands down the best character in the game. Like, one of the most legit strategies for clearing a stage was to bring along Bahamut Summon and Squall Friend and literally just spam Renzo. It was seriously like spam Renzo to win. And then when he got his second rework, he was not as good, but he was still pretty good with 100% AoE. And he was okay. Like his EX Plus really suffered from coming out at the same time as Ultimecia, because it was like, why would you use Squall when you can just use Ultimecia? You know what I mean? Like, he was good for sure, but I slightly regretted purpling him, because I think I did that in order to be able to beat Dimension Send Tier 5 without a Dispeller, because it was all those triple enemy waves, those mannequins, and his Renzo and his HP plus was, I didn't even have double plus, he had the HP plus. It was quite helpful, instrumental even, in managing to clear that stage, but definitely nowhere near the kind of level of impact that he had when he first came out. So it's really good that when the Stat Dash banner comes back, I mean, he's still just a quote-unquote boring, basic-ass damage character, but he puts out such numbers that you don't really care. It's absolutely worth it. You can do like 400k a turn, like 400k DPT, it's pretty impressive. Not many characters can keep up with that level of output, like, consistently. Like, Ultimecia can do it in burst damage. I think she can go higher. I think Emperor, when he gets LD, can maybe go higher as well, if you can spam a lot of his triple plus attacks and set off all the traps. But in terms of, like, plug and play, just get up all your buffs and auras, and then just start hitting buttons and doing damage. I think Squall's pretty much at the top. At least in AoE fights, for the foreseeable future, when he gets his rework. So I'm definitely going to be having fun with that. I think I've spent long enough using other characters that I'm not bored of Squall anymore, because there was definitely a point where I was bored of Squall. I was like, oh my god, I can't stand using him, I've been spamming him for months. But yeah, that's kind of worn off. Well, we've been pulling away with tickets here, and we're not seeing anything particularly impressive just yet. Of course, it's still early season. We've still got all to play for. Okay, so I think this is the... I mean, again, a lot of the 35s, but they're all just shiny stones at this point, because the only thing I need is the LD. I'm pretty sure I've got everything else MLB on the banner. Alright, well, I think this is the point in the video at which I will no longer hold you captive to my droning on. I will say that I'm going to skip ahead when until the time when I pull something really interesting, and I will see you then. Oh, well, here's a gold orb. This could well be the definition of the something interesting I was talking about. Let's find out. Okay, well, nope, not quite, just an EX. Alright, let's keep going. You know something about the gacha orbs that you pull from? Like, have any of you out there played Final Fantasy X? If not, then you should, because it's a great game, and you should stop watching this video, and you should go and buy a copy of 10 and 10.2 Remaster, and you should go play it now. Okay? Right, now that we've got that out of the way. You see these, like, the way that these, whatever these things are that are kind of rotating around the orb's core, doesn't that remind you of something? I'm going to give you a moment to think of what it might be. Like this pattern, this shifting. Because I'll tell you what it reminds me of. You remember the trials in Mount Gagazet? Where you have to throw Wakka's ball into the middle of these things that keep rotating around and around. To me, this kind of pattern reminds me of the same thing. And I've got this habit, like whenever I click to draw, I a lot of the time will wait for a brief second so that the middle is exposed, so that I'm not clicking onto the outside, I'm clicking onto it, like now. So I'm clicking the middle bit. I've done this for ages. I mean, not when I'm spamming tickets, but definitely when it's a gold orb. You might notice that I wait just that little extra second so I can click the middle. Like that. It's just, it's just because it reminds me of the trials in Gagazet. I can't stop doing it. Well, I mean, I can, but you know. It's one of those things. Alright. So on that note, I'm going to jump forward again, and you'll probably see me on the next gold orb. Okay, well that didn't take very long, did it? Gold orb number X. It's like the third or fourth one, I think. Great. Okay. Yep, that's it's just what I always wanted. It's great, yeah, thanks. Oh god. It's like when you get given one of those really shitty gifts, and you have to smile and like not appear ungrateful, but at the same time you're just kind of like, well, I really didn't want this, or like, I already have this. That's how I feel every time I pull an EX I don't want. Like, once upon a time, like an EX weapon would just have me completely freaking out and like flipping out, and I'd be like, oh my god, I've got an EX. Yeah, the game's moved past that at this point, sadly. The game has, and I suppose I have too. I mean, at this point, I've got so many resources stockpiled that, don't get me wrong, if I get a luck sack, I'm still very happy about it. But the raw thrills, you know, like the thrill of the gamble, it kind of doesn't exist at this point, because I've been playing this game for long enough that I just don't flip out over it as much anymore, which is fine, and it's probably for the best, because you definitely don't want to be making emotional decisions with your money. Trust me, I speak from experience. If you've ever played Fate Grand Order, you'll know what I'm talking about. Do not go down that path. That path is the way of the whale, and it only leads to darkness and regrets. Trust me. Alright, let's keep going. Oh, okay. Another gold orb. Let's go. And now. There we go. That's the moment. And there we have it. There is the LD, folks. That is what we were going for all this time. So, how many tickets did that take? That was 100 and about 140, 150, something like that. Okay, well that is an extremely generous result. I am very, very happy with that. Yeah, that is pretty much going to be it. So it's time for me to get this man all cleaned up and ready to go. And no doubt after I've done that, you will see my next video, which is going to be the Hellworm Raid event. So we're going to see just what this man has in store for us. So, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all had some tremendous luck if you pulled on this banner, which I'm guessing most of you have. And on that note, I'm going to say until the next video, take care and goodbye.